2 Samuel chapter 12. And Yahweh sends Nathan to David. And he comes to him and says to him, 2 men have been in one city, one rich and one poor. The rich has very many flocks and herds, but the poor one has nothing, except one little ewe lamb, which he has bought and keeps alive. And it grows up together with him and with his sons, and it eats of his morsel, and it drinks from his cup, and it lies in his bosom, and it is as a daughter to him. And a traveler comes to the rich man, and he spares to take from his own flock and from his own herd to prepare for the traveling man who has come to him. And he takes the ewe lamb of the poor man, and prepares it for the man who has come to him. And the anger of David burns against the man exceedingly, and he says to Nathan, Yahweh lives, surely the man who is doing this is a son of death. And for the ewe lamb he repays fourfold, because that he has done this thing, and because that he had no pity. And Nathan says to David, You are the man. Thus said Yahweh, God of Israel, I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you out of the hand of Saul. And I give to you the house of your Lord, and the wives of your Lord into your bosom. And I give the house of Israel and Judah to you. And if that is too little, then I add such and such things to you. Why have you despised the word of Yahweh, to do evil in his eyes? You have struck Uriah the Hittite by the sword, and you have taken his wife for a wife for yourself, and you have slain him by the sword of the sons of Ammon. And now the sword does not turn aside from your house for all time, because you have despised me, and take the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be for a wife for yourself. Thus said Yahweh, Behold, I am raising up calamity against you out of your own house, and have taken your wives before your eyes, and given them to your neighbor, and he has lain with your wives before the eyes of this son. For you have done it in secret, and I do this thing before all Israel, and before the sun. And David says to Nathan, I have sinned against Yahweh. And Nathan says to David, Also, Yahweh has caused your sin to pass away. You do not die. Only because you have caused the enemies of Yahweh to greatly despise by this thing, also the son who is born to you surely dies. And Nathan goes to his house. And Yahweh strikes the boy whom the wife of Uriah has borne to David, and it is incurable. And David seeks God for the youth, and David keeps a fast, and has gone in and lodged, and lain on the earth. And the elderly of his house rise against him, to raise him up from the earth, and he has not been willing, nor has he eaten bread with them. And it comes to pass on the 7th day that the boy dies. And the servants of David fear to declare to him that the boy is dead, for they said, Behold, and the boy being alive, we spoke to him, and he did not listen to our voice. And how do we say to him, The boy is dead? Then he has done evil. And David sees that his servants are whispering, and David understands that the boy is dead. And David says to his servants, Is the boy dead? And they say, Dead. And David rises from the earth, and bathes and anoints himself, and changes his raiment, and comes into the house of Yahweh, and bows himself, and comes to his house, and asks, and they place bread before him, and he eats. And his servants say to him, What is this thing you have done? Because of the living boy you have fasted and you weep, and when the boy is dead you have risen and eat bread. And he says, While the boy is alive I have fasted and I weep, for I said, Who knows if Yahweh pities me and the boy has lived? And now he has died. Why is this I fast? Am I able to bring him back again? I am going to him, and he does not return to me. And David comforts his wife Bathsheba, and goes into her and lies with her. And she bears a son, and he calls his name Solomon. And Yahweh has loved him, and sends by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and calls his name Jedidiah, because of Yahweh. And Joab fights against Rabbah, the sons of Ammon, and captures the royal city. And Joab sends messengers to David and says, I have fought against Rabbah. I have also captured the city of waters. And now gather the rest of the people and encamp against the city and capture it, lest I capture the city, and my name has been called on it. And David gathers all the people and goes to Rabbah and fights against it and captures it. And he takes the crown of the king from off his head, and its weight is a talent of gold and precious stones, and it is on the head of David. And he has brought out the spoil of the city very much. And he has brought out the people who are in it, and sets them to the saw, and to cutting instruments of iron, and to axes of iron, and has caused them to pass over into the brick kiln. And so he does to all the cities of the sons of Ammon. And David turns back, and all the people, to Jerusalem.